When my grandpa passed away a few years ago, he left me his old pocket watch. It was a beautiful silver pocket watch with an engraving on the back. As soon as I saw it, I knew that this was no ordinary timepiece. It turns out that this pocket watch was not just a regular pocket watch. It was a portal to different times. It was a time-traveling pocket watch. Every time I turn the knob on the side of the pocket watch, it transports me to a different point in history. At first, I thought it was just a fun novelty watch, but soon I realized that this watch is no joke. The first time I used it, I went back 100 years. I landed right in the middle of New York City in 1923. I had to hide because people were walking around with mustaches and newsboy caps, and they all stared at me like I was crazy. I couldn't understand what they were saying because everyone was speaking with a very strong accent. I turned the knob again and went back home to 2023. That is when I realized that this pocket watch could take me anywhere in time. I decided to go back even further this time. I turned the knob until I reached the year 1876. This time I landed in the middle of a Wild West town. People were wearing cowboy hats and boots, and they all looked very suspicious. I mean, they probably didn't expect to see a guy in a white shirt and jeans appear out of thin air. I didn't stick around long enough to find out what they would have said. I turned the knob and went back to the future. One day I was hanging out in the attic and I found an old book that belonged to my grandpa. It was a leather-bound journal and it had a very mysterious title, The Time Traveler's Guide to the Multiverse. I opened it up and started reading, and it turns out that my grandpa was a time traveler too. He used the pocket watch to go all sorts of crazy places. In the past, he visited ancient Egypt and the Great Wall of China. In the future, he saw how the world might end in the year 2345. Apparently, it ends with a giant meteor made of cheese. Who would have thought that a talking clock could take you all sorts of crazy places throughout time? The guide also explained how to use the watch. Every single year is like a different station on a train. All you have to do is set the year on the face of the watch and then turn the knob until you hear a click. When you open the pocket watch, you will see a swirling vortex inside. All you have to do is jump into the vortex and hold on to your stomach because it is going to be a bumpy ride. So I decided to go back in time again. This time I went back to the year 1969. I wanted to see if Neil Armstrong was really the first man on the moon. I found him and Buzz Aldrin at a little diner off the highway. They were eating cheeseburgers and drinking coffee. I told them that I knew they were going to be famous because they were going to walk on the moon. And then I took a picture of them with my cell phone camera. I'm gonna be rich. I went back even further and I ended up in the year 1066. This is when William the Conqueror became the King of England. I wanted to see what life was like in medieval times. So I dressed up like a peasant and I worked in the fields all day. It was very hard work. And then at night I slept in a little hut with a thatched roof. It was very different from my modern life, that's for sure. But it was also very cool to see how people lived so long ago. After a while, I got tired of living in the past. So I turned the knob on the watch and went back to the future. I landed in the year 2145. This is when all the old buildings are gone and everything is shiny and new. I saw flying cars and robots everywhere. It was very exciting to see how the world might look in the future. But after a while, I started to feel very lonely. I missed my friends and family and all the things that are familiar to me. So I turned the knob and went back to my own time, the year 2023. When I landed back in my own time, I realized how lucky I am to have this pocket watch. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to be able to travel through time.